This is a Canon AE-1 Program film camera. This camera, this actual physical camera that I'm holding in my hand right here, is the camera that started me on my journey of photography for the better part of my entire life. Now here's a fun fact that I wasn't planning on when I decided to pull this camera out to talk about this vlog. I didn't realize I have film in this camera that's unused. There's a roll of 200 speed 24 exposure film, and it looks like I've used about 14 of the exposures. I have 10 more pictures. That film's got to be way old. I don't remember putting that film in there, so I don't even know what's on it. But I'm going to have a fun time. I'm going to take those pictures and see what's on it, get it developed. That's fabulous. But that's not why I pulled out this camera, and that wasn't the purpose of this vlog. And if you haven't guessed it, today's vlog is going to be a very personal story or personal vlog once again. Now I'm going to tie some AI in at the very end. So if you're interested in AI and photography, you might want to stick around for that. But until we get there, there's going to be a progression of Dave waxing nostalgic. Anyway, Canon AE-1. Oh, well, as long as I have this camera here, I'll share a couple of facts with you. So this was the second in the series of the AE-1 cameras. The first one came out it was either 1974 or 76, something like that, the Canon AE-1. This is the Canon AE-1 Program. This one came out in 1981, or this model did. This physical camera, this exact one right here that I have in my hand, this was gifted to me as my graduation present from high school in 1985. And I know my mom watches my vlog, so thank you, Mom. I still have my high school graduation present. And look, I'm going to be using it because I've got some film in here to use. So there's that camera. Now, from that camera to where we are today, there's a progression, but I'm going to go back to talking about film just for a moment. One of the things that I learned early on about film and learning photography, if you're learning on film, it's a very expensive proposition. You have to buy the film, and you only get so many exposures, right? It's not like a digital camera where you can shoot thousands and then pick two and throw the rest away. On film, you have to be very deliberate about the shots that you are taking because the roll only has so many exposures. You could buy a 12 exposure, a 24 exposure, a 36 exposure roll of film, but that's all you got. And when you took a picture, every single one of those pictures on that roll of film was precious. And so you would shoot that film, and then you would take it to be developed. So first you had to buy it, and then you had to develop it. And then if you wanted prints of that, after having it developed into negatives, your prints also cost. Now usually you got some prints with the development process. You'd get some 4x6s or 5x3s or some kind of print size that you would get with your negatives as you had your film developed. But then if you had a picture that was in there that you're like, ooh, this one's really fantastic, I want it blown up so I can hang it on the wall or do something with it, then there was the cost of that as well. So taking pictures with film is a pretty expensive proposition, and back then I was very, very poor. And so my film taking abilities was limited by my income, and there would be times where I wouldn't shoot anything on film for a year. And then maybe I'd get a couple of rolls and I'd be able to shoot those rolls off and learn a little bit more and have some fun with the camera, and then it would sit for a few months and then I would get a couple more. And that's the kind of process I went through as I shot on this film camera. Then eventually, and then I don't remember exactly what year it was, early 2000s, something like that, then eventually the Sony PowerShot came out, and I was able to purchase one of those. And so now I had a digital camera that I could take pictures with, and I didn't have the cost of the film. And so my love of photography was renewed, and I started learning more and more. But that PowerShots didn't have any real manual settings to it like a camera does, where where you have to set your aperture and your speed, and you have to dial in your focus. The PowerShot was a point and shoot camera, basically. So it was fun to shoot and it was great to take some pictures, but you really weren't learning the skill of photography. Then, in 2008, I bought this camera. This is a Canon 5D Mark II. Now, for the camera industry and the movie or the camera filming industry, this was a revolutionary camera. So this could shoot video and it could shoot pictures. Now, this is still my go-to camera today when I'm taking pictures. If I'm taking some headshots or I want to capture the kids or I want to do something that's really special for a family event and I want to have a camera out where I can get some good professional quality pictures, this is the camera I go to. For a short time in my adult life, I had a photography business. This was the camera I used for that photography business. I love this camera. This is a fabulous camera. It's a full frame camera, and I've got a few different lenses for it. And I love shooting on this. It still is my favorite all-time camera that I have ever owned. And now, before I set it down, some other interesting facts about this one. This camera, when it came out, it was so revolutionary to the camera and film industry that this particular body style for Canon was used to shoot some movies. Like, it was used in Black Swan. Now, I don't know how much of the movie of Black Swan was shot on this versus like a professional video camera or professional film camera, but some of the scenes in Black Swan were shot on a Canon 5D Mark II. The television series House had some episodes that were shot on this. So did The Walking Dead. They used the 5D Mark II as well. There is like a cult following around this camera, and actually some of the other older Canon cameras also. There is a software upgrade that you can get called Magic Lantern. It is not a Canon software upgrade. It's a bunch of developers, hackers, programmers, I'm not sure what you would call them, have developed some add-on features that you can upload into your camera and unlock hidden things that were not part of the original programming of that camera. So that's called Magic Lantern. I have tried it. It makes it more confusing to use the camera for me. I'm not looking to dig into all of the little technical aspects of all the different settings and everything in there that I can possibly get out of the camera. I think it does fantastic just the way it is. And I primarily use it for still shooting anyway. I don't use this a lot for video, and that Magic Lantern unlocks a lot of video features. It does unlock some photography features as well, but it's primarily around video. And I don't use this camera a lot for video. And part of the reason I don't use it for video is that it doesn't have great autofocus for video. Where it does, and I guess in today's standards, it probably doesn't have great autofocus for the photography as well, but it does have autofocus for photography. The autofocus that some of the cameras have today is completely out of this world, so it's really amazing. All right, and at this point, you're probably going, well, Dave, that's great. You showed us a couple of cameras. Why are you babbling on about some old cameras that you have? What's the purpose or what's the point? Can you just get to the point already? And I will. I'm getting there. A couple of points that I'm going to make. One is the reason I wanted to talk about photography is recently the creative spark in me has been renewed. I think this vlog has a lot to do with it. Part of starting this vlog was I had this void in my life where I was not doing anything creative at all. We had stopped working on our other vlog. I really hadn't taken any pictures in a while. I hadn't done any editing. I hadn't done anything creative. And I really have this little itch of creativity that I like to do. It kind of balances me out. I mean, when I'm at work, my work is very logical, very methodical, very date-driven and goal-driven, and, you know, where I need that creative outlet to kind of balance things out. And I just hadn't been getting that. And so when I started this vlog, that creative spark was renewed in me. And I've been thinking, gosh, I would like to get out and take more pictures and be more active outside and be able to capture more images on my camera. And so that's one thing I'm planning on doing. And today, specifically, the reason that sparked this topic for this vlog is I was in a meeting earlier today with some of my colleagues at work. One of my colleagues had shared his screen and was showing us some programming and some things that he was having some issues with and was asking the group for assistance. And so people were chiming in, and then we were going through the meeting. And when it was done, he started closing his windows. And as he did, the desktop that he had was a picture of his dog. And now lots of people have pictures of their dogs and things, but this was not just a picture. This was like a professional photograph of his dog in a very fantastic, gnarly up face. Cute. It's one of those ugly dogs that's cute. But the picture was fantastic. And I looked at that and I went, wow, can you tell me about that picture? Did you take that? Did a professional photographer take that? Where did that picture come from? What's the story behind it? And so we started talking about photography and his love of photography as well. And then he started displaying some of his automatic backgrounds. He has his computer set up to randomly show backgrounds, and he's loaded a bunch of his own photography onto his laptop. And so it randomly will roll through some of the pictures that he has taken. And so we kind of sidelined the meeting, and we actually ended up going about 15 minutes past the top of the hour when that meeting was supposed to end, just talking about photography. About half the group fell off and didn't want to continue, but the other half was interested in photography as well. And we had a really good conversation around it. And one of the things that he suggested is a website that I had not heard of before. It's called 52 Frames. And each week they do a new photography challenge. And so as he was talking and telling us about it, I went out to the site, took a look at it, and I signed up for it right away, thinking, this is fabulous. Now I've got another creative outlet, something that I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to get this camera out, and now that I know I have film in this one, I'm getting this one out too. But I've been wanting to get the camera out and take some more pictures, and now I have a purpose to go out and do that, and some direction. Where a lot of the times with my creativity, one of the things that happens is I want to be creative. I want to do something. Maybe I'll get the camera out, but then what am I going to take a picture of, and what am I going to do? And I'm going to take a picture, sit on the shelf and do nothing with it anyway. Well, this way, I've got the purpose behind the motivation to be creative and get out and shoot some pictures and participate in those weekly contests. Now, I know there's tons of different photography contests out there. I have participated with some in the past. One of the competitions I did years ago, actually with my iPhone, right after I got my first iPhone that had a really good camera on it, was a picture a day and posting that to a website. And so I've done that photography series also. And I thought I would share here on the vlog because it's just part of that whole creative journey that I am on right now. At the beginning of this vlog, I said I was going to tie AI into this conversation. It wasn't just going to be me reminiscing about my old cameras and photography and how I got to enjoy photography in my life. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make it a little bit of a challenge for you. I'm going to show you an image, but before I do, I'm going to warn you that I'm going to show you this image. I want you to take a look at it. I'll show it to you for, I don't know, a few seconds, and then I'm going to take it away. So here is that image now. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you two images in just a moment, and I want to know which image was the one that you were looking at originally and which image was generated by AI. You might be able to tell. I don't know, they're pretty close. But before I show you those two images so you can see which one is which, the image that I just showed you of that grasshopper, that's an image that I took. And I took that image years and years ago, but it happens to be one of my favorite like insect type images that I captured. It was a beautiful sunny day. I wanted to go out and take some photography. I went down by the swampy area. I was in swampy yuckiness, and I was trying to get some close-up shots of the grasshoppers, but they were flying everywhere and jumping and hopping, and I couldn't get anything, and I was very frustrated. And it was this whole process of trying to get some close-up shots of some grasshoppers that were in focus because everything in the wind was blowing, and it was a very difficult shot for me at the skill level that I was at the time to take. Well, even today it would still be a difficult image for me to take at the skill level that I'm at. It was not perfect conditions. And so trudging down there and taking that shot, and I finally got a few shots that day that I was happy with. And that grasshopper one was one of those shots. And now I've had it for years, and I always look back at that and can remember that experience. It was fantastic. It was frustrating but fantastic, and I got that image. I was able to capture that image. Now, that was with a digital camera as well, so that was not a film camera, but that was one of the digitals that I had at the time. Now, I tell you that story because the image that you're going to look at here in a second and choose between which one is the one that I took and which one is AI generated, it literally took me like 10 seconds to type in a prompt that says, create this image. Hey, here, you can use this image as an example. You can even copy it and make it as exact to this image as you want. And there was no adventure there. There was no walking in the muck and losing your shoes and your feet getting all wet and swatting away the bugs. There was none of that. It was me typing on a keyboard to get the image. And that's what we're missing out on. That's what we're losing with AI photography. And I don't mean this to be a bash session for AI photography. Kind of on the contrary. I'm trying to make a point. So when I started photography, this was the camera that I had. And this was a fantastic camera. This was a revolutionary camera when it came out. But these type of cameras replaced those film cameras. But it's still around. But the main commercial use in photography and cameras is all digital. Now, even this one, this is a DSLR. The DSLRs are a thing of the past now. This is a dinosaur as well. Now that we no longer need to have the mechanical shutter in the digital cameras. And so we've moved past that. But now we're even moving past that further with AI generated images. And if you can type it on your keyboard, if you can create the prompt to create the image that you want, the sky is the limit. There is no image that we can no longer create or get or capture in our mind to have AI generate for us. Now, again, I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing. It's an evolution of how we generate images and think of pictures. But generating images like that will never be me getting my feet wet using a camera like this to take a picture of a grasshopper, which would never be me taking a picture with this camera, not even knowing if I got the picture, and having to wait until that film is developed before I know if I even captured the picture. It's not bad. It's just an evolution. And it's one of those areas of evolution, old guys like me, we're just going to have to get used to it, because the speed of technology is not going to slow down. It's going to keep going. And memories and experiences of how we used to do things, they're not going to get lost forever, but they will be diminished. And as promised, here is the image that I took alongside the image that ChatGPT 4o created. Can you tell which one is which? I'll give you a second longer to decide. And here's the answer. All right, and that's where I'm going to end the vlog for today, April 23rd, 2025. This is vlog 113. I'm Dave. This is Old Dad Studio. And hey, we will see you tomorrow.